Khiron Life Sciences is a vertically integrated global medical and CPG cannabis company with core operations in Latin America and Europe. They have distribution throughout various countries in Latin America, along with activity in North America and Europe. The company is licensed in Colombia for the cultivation, production, and domestic distribution, as well as international export of both low and high THC medical cannabis products from Colombia to the UK to Peru and Uruguay, Brazil. Their business breaks down into three main segments: medical cannabis products health services, where they operate their own network of medium complexity health centers under the brands ILANS and Zerenia; and Wellbeing Products. The company focuses on delivering the benefits of CBD and hemp across an array of various branded consumer packaged goods, such as its Kuida cosmetics line with sales in Colombia, UK, and the US. As the deep dive has profiled in the past, Khiron stands out against the other Latin American issuers based on the strength of their balance sheet, overall sales, and PS sales metrics. The company is still early in their sales ramp and just starting to scale. We thought we would give our audience some insights on how they intend to become a global leader. So let me introduce Chris Naprawa, president of Khiron. What can you tell us about the program in the UK and Khiron's involvement?
All right, so the UK program is called 2021. It's the largest medical trial for cannabis in the world right now. Doctors and physicians all through the UK can go ahead and do telephone interviews with patients and make prescriptions that can then be sent through the Royal Mail. So we received our first prescriptions in that a couple of weeks ago. We announced that, so it's a big milestone for the company, and we're the exclusive provider for that program for LATAM.
What is the strategy to enter new European markets?
Well, last October, we hired a new European team, very experienced team that comes from the cannabis industry. So we now have offices both in Frankfurt and in London, UK. So we've already announced that we're in business in the UK. It wouldn't be a surprise to know that we're going into Germany. I think there's another market, like Poland would be another interesting market for us, in the very near future.
One of the questions we get from investors: the average GDP per capita in Colombia is around $6,700 per person. What's the size of the addressable market in this kind of environment?
Well, Colombia is a big place. It's 50 million people, and we don't need to address all 50 million people. We're very much focused on a certain segment, and that number extrapolates to 620 million people in all of LATAM. So it's an enormous market. You don't need a big percentage of that market to make a sizable difference. And there, where we're a leading player compared to being number 175 here in Canada, for instance, of all the LPs. And when you look at those kind of averages, it's just like anywhere. These things skew. So when you look at where our clinics are, and where they're located, it attracts a certain type of clientele. Also, all of our clinical services, not cannabis, but our clinical services are all covered by insurance. So our insurance companies are our clients. The patients are the patients, but our clients are the insurance companies.
Are you selling any of your products in the US?
We're not in the US at all. We don't operate in any federally illegal territories. We do have our wellness line for sale, which is a CBD topical. Cosmetic for women.
Something we like to ask CEOs and presidents: what keeps you up at night?
General markets, if you asked me a year ago, I was really nervous about, trade tensions between China and the US, and what that meant for access to capital for a growing company like ours. Now, COVID, are we going to come up with a rational, reasonable way of getting people back to work in a timely manner here? Like everything, it's all politicized. So you tell me what's going to happen here, but I think we've all done our part, and it's time to figure out ways to get people back to work. In the meantime, our company's been incredibly thoughtful and shown a lot of ingenuity on how we're keeping the business running and still doing everything that we need to do. And I think, as the last couple months have taught me, is that people are clever. People figure stuff out. They learn to adapt. They work hard. They don't take no for an answer. And I'm seeing that right from our executive suite in our company. I think you cannot keep optimists down.
Where do you see your biggest opportunity for Khiron?
when we started 3 years ago, everybody was just talking about square feet and tons and yields and stuff like that, and very much focused on the agriculture aspect of the business. Where we went out and bought clinics, we're training doctors, we're working with universities, we're working on the downstream part of the sales. You can have all the supply in the world, but if people don't know what to do with it or how to use it, then you're not going to sell very much. And we're not in the adult use space at all. We're just in the medical space. So that was a big differentiator, and I think others are starting to figure that out and come along. But as we're doing that, we're on to the next thing. We're on to the next layer. At the end of the day, this business, the medical cannabis business, will be one on service. That's it. You can have the greatest thing in the world, but if you don't know how to work with distributors, work with hospitals, work with doctors, maintain your relationship with patients, and for most people, they're taking it for a real reason, whether it be chronic pain or epilepsy or Parkinson's or something else. They want support and they want to know what they're doing. So I think that 2021 project is an example where people get a lot of feedback. It goes both ways. It's very, very helpful. And we have to hold on to that information, use it for whatever we can use it for, and make the next experience even better.
How has Khiron been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic?
We've been affected just like everybody else. We're a highly mobile executive team flying all over the world. So we've all been grounded for the time being. In Colombia, where we have our principal operations, Bogota continues to be in quarantine, and which is, where you're actually shut down. You're not on the streets at all. So we've had to adapt very quickly with technology. We continue to adapt that on a weekly basis and making it better and better. We are an essential service for our clinics, so people continue to come into our clinics, although at a greatly reduced service level. It's incredibly challenging. The good news is that we were about as well prepared as we could be, and the people have shown amazing resilience.
In the past, you have talked about how Khiron was a data-driven company. Can you explain what that means?
Everything is driven by data. So first of all, on the medical side, efficacy and people's responses to this product. It's very important to record that and understand how that will affect the next patient and the one after that. People are people everywhere in the world, and you're going to see more on the data side from us in the coming weeks and months, and what that all means. Because right now, at the beginning of this market, just like in the UK, just like in Canada 5 years ago, there's a lot of people that are already predisposed. They understand that cannabis is probably going to be helpful for them. They are proactively seeking out that treatment from their physicians, and that's the initial wave of demand that you see. The demand beyond that, you have to then show real life examples of how this helps people. And the good thing is we have a medical team that does a very good job with that. We've worked very closely with many universities. We did that deal with Tech Monterrey to educate doctors, and that's all evidence-based information that we're providing those doctors.
Khiron has a very strong balance sheet. How do you avoid making mistakes that, say, many others in the space have made?
We're going to make mistakes. We've made a lot of mistakes. We're just trying not to make the same mistakes over and over again. And, it's not an accident that we had a fortified balance sheet going into this thing. That being said, that's not our strength. Our strength is our people. Our strength is our ingenuity. Our strength is our work ethic. And that's what attracted capital, and that's what will continue to attract capital in the future. So, but anyone who tells you they don't make mistakes, forget it. We've made some doozies, but you recover, you move on, you learn from it, you make changes where changes are necessary, and you continue to grow. And that's what we're paid to do. I think that's the expectation from investors, is they know this stuff is hard. It's almost impossible. But we have to keep adapting and keep getting better as we go.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. And thank you guys so much for watching The Deep Dive.